It's thank you. Yay!
Okay.
Hi everybody. Sorry for the tech delay. I got my computer back. If you've been watching the last few weeks, I've been like sulking in George's office because I had no computer for a while. But my computer is back and properly freaking out. But we're live. We're going. So welcome to this week's Learning Space. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Remember, if you are watching, if you could share the YouTube link where you're watching right now. Since we did have to switch over from the old YouTube link to the new YouTube link. So if you can share that out, that would be very helpful. So thanks for coming. My name is Nicole Gugliucci. I need to change my lower third. And in the office next door is my colleague Georgia.
Yep. Hi, everybody.
Hi. So we're glad to be here. And we are here with Stephen Canvin from MoonBots. So hi, Stephen.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome. Welcome to our mad show. So
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about MoonBots, this really cool project getting kids involved in engineering design. So give us an overview of the MoonBots project.
Right. So the MoonBots project is an educational outreach program as an offset from the Google Lunar X Prize, created together with the X Prize Foundation, or by the X Prize Foundation, where we're targeting children or students from age 9 to 17 all over the world to form teams and design, conceive, build and program robots to emulate the Google Lunar X Prize. So the name MoonBots, of course, is like a derivative. It's all about moon exploration. And when I say students, it could be you could do it like in classrooms, you could do it out of school, scouts, whomever can actually join and participate.
Very cool.
And the Google Lunar X Prize, for those who don't know, is an international competition for teams to put a privately funded rover on the moon. That's a $30 million prize purse to be won from. So we tried to emulate that, and we have like incentivized. We have a prize too for the kids to win, or prizes.
Yeah, so our colleague Pamela Gay hosts the Google Lunar X Prize Hangout, which happens every 2 weeks, so you guys can hear from the adult teams who are working to put robots on the moon. But this kids aspect is really cool. How so the Google Lunar X Prize is a multi-year process. How do you kind of emulate that over do you do a different contest every year? How does that work? How does that emulate the main challenge?
Well, so we've been doing 4 years. We started in 2010 and had we had a hiatus in 2013. But the general idea is to emulate what the Google Lunar X Prize is about, trying to have some of the same milestones of making your robot do the same thing, just with toy robots. We've been using Lego Mindstorm's robots so far, so kids have been asked to learn to program it, design, come up with this. But we have made variances in the different years where we've been asking 1 year to focus heavily on showing us the design before they moved on and could actually move from phase to phase. We've got 2 phases. But it's pretty much been the same concept, that you're emulating a lunar mission with a robot.
So what kind of challenges do the students have to do? What do their machine have to do?
Well, as an example, for the first phase, to be like eligible to go into the final phase, we've got phase 1, phase 2. In phase 1, we're asking them to, like from this year, we asked them to create a video and answer the question, which is also the general question for the Google and X Prize: why should we go back to the moon for good? And we've given them all the possibilities to be creative and come up with their own ideas of how to do it. They can create animations, they can sing, whatever they want to do. They can express and answer the question in a 3-minute video. and from that we're judging, who makes the best video and stuff like that. But they're also doing outreach where they're going out in public and talking about it. Some of the teams that we see here are, I wouldn't say professionals, but veteran teams. They've been participating in other robotics competitions before, so many of them know how to do it. They have the experience, but we also encouraging teams that haven't had any experience with robots or anything like that to get into the whole process of playing around with robots, learning about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, programming robots, because a lot of young people out there haven't tried that before, and also to get into the whole understanding of what it takes to go to the moon and to explore space.
That's great. So if you have a team that's really new and they're new to robotics, are there any guidelines or resources where they can go to and get started to get into the competition?
Absolutely. Well, we, through our website, moonbots.org, we've been trying to give them resources. We've been giving them inspiration. There are tons of videos made by former teams from past years. As administrator, we would answer emails or calls where people are asking about help. That we have an extensive rule set, but as it is, we have been trying to work on the rules to make it even more open and creative year by year. For the first year, we were like kind of dictating, saying you should make a play field based on the materials that we sent to you. You should make a play field. You have to do this, this, and this with this kind of scoring. This year we blew it open and said, make your own game design. You figure out what you want to make as a mission. But we have a few things we want you to do, like get a robot to go off a landing platform, like it would happen on the moon, and to have a few mission items that we have dictated, but the rest is open. If they want to make a theme, if they want to they can't change it to be Mars, for instance. But of course, it's all about the moon. But we try to make it as open as possible, but also to give them their own scoring system, saying, if you can make it up to 100 points, tell us what are the criteria. So we made it quite open instead of trying to make it too esoteric for the kids. So rookie teams would have a harder time, and we are really trying to lower the bar on the entry level to make it as easy and as accessible as possible.
So I just wanted to, since I missed this in my intro, if you guys are watching and you want to leave a comment or question, be sure to use the Q&A app over here in your window. There's a little, I think it's here in your window, a little button. You can join us and give us your feedback and questions. So we have a hello from Guido, who passes on a hello from Nancy, who's at her work Christmas party, and Michael Jobin, and a couple of our other regulars are in. So hello and welcome, and please feel free to send in your questions as we go along. So there was some excitement in the comments just now, actually, as several of the viewers noticed that you guys partnered with Lego. Can you tell us about the what Lego brings to the MoonBots Challenge? Some people are
right. Well, the background story is that actually initiated the competition together with people from X Prize. When I worked at Lego, I worked at a Lego company for the longest time. I was the marketing manager for Lego Mindstorms, the robotics toolkit that Lego produces. I left the company last year, but I've been part of the competition throughout since the inception in 2000. We started in 2009, but launched in 2010. But the contribution was that we were using Lego Mindstorms robotics kits for the actual robot design. For the finalists, we decided that it would be like 20 or 25 teams that would make it into the phase 2, and from there on they had to create the robot. And again, they were free to design it how they wanted it to design it, but we gave them the materials to do it. So it's like technically no cost associated with that. So that's like part of the background story. And Lego Mindstorms is a wonderful tool to emulate, of course, anything robotic. But when it comes to the lunar mission, it's been particularly helpful. First year we had a totally Lego landscape. It was all Lego plates, building plates, and everything was built out of Lego. And again, we opened up to make that even a little more easy. And we had in 2012, we opened up and said, build it out of anything you want. If you want to make it out of sand or cement, do that. But you will still get the Lego Mindstorms robotics kit to build your robot from. So again, we want to give them as much freedom as possible, and we do love to see rookie teams who have like zero experience with going into the deeper into space exploration and stuff. So they're learning a lot, which is really, really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, what about the makeup of the teams? What kinds of teams do you have? If there's a range of age, or do you have more kids that are older participating versus younger, or are some of the groups actually mixed? And I was wondering if maybe that sometimes tends to work better versus a group of all people in the same age, or maybe not. So just what kinds do you have?
Yeah, so we have a really good mix age-wise. The age bracket is 9 to 17. They have to have a team captain age 18 and over. And it could be an 18-year-old, but usually it's an adult or a parent of the team. And as I said, we experienced that we do see a lot of veteran teams coming from, e.g., First Lego League or First Tech Challenge, which is also a first competition, which is all about robots. They tend to gravitate to MoonBots because it's an off-season extracurricular activity that they can all join in. But age-wise, we do have a really nice mix. Also in a team, it could go from 9 to 17, which is great. We do encourage the younger teams to make it as far as they can. We're not pushing them, but we are really encouraging them because we are seeing a lot of seasoned, older teams being very prolific and successful. But the age mix is pretty good. I don't have the stats on me right now, but we have had a really good average. Last year, the team was 16, 17-year-olds. This year, we were traveling with 16, 17-year-olds, and they have a 12-year-old younger brother as part of the team too. And we have had a team of nearly, well, I think they were like 12, 13 in 2011. So who won the prize, the grand prize. So yeah, there's a really nice mix for sure.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of the team names. The Incredibots, Dalton Brobots, and Exit 5 Robotics from New Jersey. That's really, I love it. That's a really clever team.
It's a good joke, yeah, for sure.
Those of you who don't know, I'm from New York, so I make fun of Jersey.
Right, yeah, well, it makes sense. I know the team. Again, we're encouraging them to be creative, and again, for rookie teams, there are those teams who've never been in a robotics competition before. We would encourage a family household together, to create a team. The limit or the minimum is like 2 team members and a team captain, and the maximum is 5 team members. So we do encourage anyone who can, gather a team to do that, and also be creative and come up with a name and a logo and stuff. But we do see that we have these experienced teams that comes from First Lego League. Of course, they have a logo already. They have the T-shirts. They have everything. They've done it many times before, so they know what the game is all about. But to your question, Georgia, we are really trying to help them as much as we can.
Yeah, and that's great, because I imagine robots it's so engaging, it's so fun, but at the same time, we've seen with some of our programs that, and sometimes it's the adults more than the kids, they're a little hesitant, they're afraid that maybe they don't know all they need to know about robotics, and so there's a little hesitance to kind of jump in. So having some good resources for a new team is really helpful. And usually it is the
absolutely
more than the kids.
Absolutely.
The kids are ready to fit in.
we are trying to take the brunt off of that. one criteria we do have is that they cannot remote control the robot, because even though the Google Lunar X Prize, that the team would of course have full control over the rover they will send to the moon eventually, we're trying to give them the challenge to say, well, it has to be autonomous. Once you put it on your playfield, once you set it in motion to perform the mission, it has to be like working by itself, meaning it has to have a lot of programming into it, or some programming for sure. But we are definitely trying to take the brunt off, or the burden off, and make it easy on them. Hence that we've been using Lego Mindstorms to start with. A lot of other tools out there, but it's been a very obvious choice. And the kids, the teams love it. They're really into it.
Cool. Very cool. Do you get a lot of groups that are classes, or are they after school, or are they just friends? Do you know how the groups kind of get started?
So, as I just said, that some of the teams are already formed. They've been working together, and they've had parents who've been coaching and mentoring teams for like many years, where they've gotten a new influx of kids and brothers and sisters and friends. But yes, we see that many of the teams, some of the teams are like all siblings, all best friends. We have some rookie teams that are like family teams, where the parents are taking it the challenge and gathering their children and their friends and trying it out. But it's all over the board when it comes to how they're composed, for sure.
Cool. So talk about the grand prize, because it involves a volcano.
Right.
I was going to ask you, talk about the prizes. We want to know.
Right. So over the years, when we started the competition, we decided that the grand prize should be kind of a winning trip to a point of interest.
Right. The moon's kind of out of the question. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Sorry.
The moon itself is out of the question for a trip.
The moon, unfortunately, is still out of the question. We're hoping to go there. It's not gone by us that would be like a big incentive if we could do that. Don't make me go there. But the first year it was a trip to visit the Lego headquarters in Denmark. Come to Legoland. We saw a local robotics competition too. It was actually a team from New Jersey, and we had an exciting time. We escalated it the year after. We went to Florida for one thing was the opening of the new Legoland park that happened right there. But we went to Kennedy Space Center and got a very special visit, which was really great. I should have brought pictures for that. We got to go inside the very large assembly building, the VLA, and we saw two of the decommissioned space shuttles right there being prepared to go to museums. And for me, that was like, wow, awesome. It was quite an experience. So we had a really big boost. We got to meet a couple of astronauts too. And so in 2012, the winning prize was the trip to Hawaii, and which we executed last year in March. And yes, we got to visit volcanoes and stuff, but we have pictures from this year's trip that we could possibly show. So is that something you can pull up, Nicole?
Yep, I can do that if you just tell me.
The one I called like Hawaii one. It's like a luau picture.
Yep. Okay, let me get my screen sharing actually working.
Let's see how that works.
Yep.
So here we go. Yeah, so that's the team, and me and my wife hosting the team and the kids at a luau, which was the first time we actually met in person. The next picture over would be the Hawaii 2, right under there.
That looks super fun.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Where they are.
Yeah. So. Well, we met on the big island of Hawaii, which is Hawaii, and where you have the some of the biggest volcanoes in the world, Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea. And we went up to Mauna Kea, where they have a visitor center for the astronomers who go all the way up to the top to the observatories. And we had actually come up with the idea that the kids or the team should try to emulate the real Google Lunar X Prize in one of the craters, because what you see in the picture is what is called the analog site, and it's the analog site because the area and the terrain and the composition of the soil is very much like what you'll see on the moon. Real rovers tested right there. I think only for lunar exploration, not for Mars explorations, but definitely that's the place to go to if you want to test your rover. And some of the Google Lunar X Prize teams have been there too. So the idea was, here you go, team. Here's $50 to buy some materials or find whatever you can in scrap dumpsters. You want dumpster diving. Build a lunar lander from the Apollo mission. We gave them a rover that was one of the prizes they actually won, a remote control rover. You can run through GPS, which is really, really cool. But to emulate the Google Lunar X Prize, to visit an Apollo site, to go 500 meters, and record videos, put a camera, and just excited about that because we had a really good time there. Later on, we went further up the slope and visited the observatories, which was just awesome. So it's really exciting. The idea to actually test the rover was something we came up with like in the 11th hour. But the team took it in good spirit. It was really, really fun. As you can see, they're like elated. It's like they're on the moon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's cool.
Oh, that's great.
So so that was great. As part of that, we went up to see the observatories. I got a special exclusive view inside because normally normal public cannot go inside the observatories. It's only for the operators and the astronomers. So we got to do that, hear about their daily lives and business. Yeah, here's a close-up of, you can see the rocks because it was really, really windy up there.
Problems you don't have.
And that cardboard lander would fly away if it wasn't pinned down. But we had a lot of fun playing with that. We also got to visit, of course, some of the volcanoes, and they have some big craters or calderas, and it's called calderas, and visited the U.S. Geological Survey Center. There's an observatory overlooking one of the calderas because it's smoking. It's actually active, which was kind of scary too because they have poisonous gases there. You can't walk into the caldera. You'll die. But we got an exclusive presentation from one of the guys there about the seismic activities and the volcano monitoring that they do 24/7. We also visited the Imelore Center for Astronomy in Hilo, which is in conjunction with the University of Hawaii, which was part of our hosts there in Hawaii. It was amazing. It was truly amazing, and very relevant because that's where Hawaii is one of the places where the Apollo astronauts actually trained. There's the Mars habitat on Mauna Loa where people are actually training how to be isolated for months on end to go to Mars. So it was exciting and very relevant.
Very cool. We have a couple of questions. Sylvan Westby is asking about how do teams get funded? For example, are there teams with private funding? Do they come from public schools? Does it matter since you're sending them the kits if they're a finalist?
Exactly. So from the inception, we did that it should be like no purchase necessary experience. We wouldn't put the burden on teams to dole out money to actually participate. It doesn't cost anything to participate. It's all free. But the whole concept is that for the finalist teams, those who make it into the last phase will be given a free robotic set to work from, And of course, the other incentives are that there are these prizes. That's a grand prize of a trip to somewhere exciting in the world. You win other things. We've had registrations as prizes to the first competitions, and other tidbits. Again, I mentioned that some teams are already seasoned teams who've been working in the first competitions, for instance, and other types of robotics competitions. They in turn have an experience with what's it called, doing fundraising, because it's necessary for them to keep their teams going. It's not something that we do with for MoonBots, because we do want to see rookie teams who have no experience. They don't need to put any money into it if they thought it was. We have that question all the time, if there's a fee to actually enter, but it's free. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Is that taken into consideration when you're looking for finalists as well?
No. We're judging all the submissions and the activities that they've gone through in phase 1, and it's primarily based on that.
You don't know anything about them really. You're just judging it on the submissions.
And we're also judging on various open criteria like creativity, and what imagination they put into it, what effort they put into it. There are a lot of we do encourage again, I'm going to repeat it, that we do encourage rookie teams to be part of that, and we do want to see new teams year by year. And we have had a really nice flow of new teams coming in. And I truly, and I've said that again when I worked with the partners at Google and the X Prize Foundation when we started this, and said I would really want to see those teams who have no experience join, because they should have that opportunity. Because we know there are a lot of veteran teams out there, and we've seen that. I really get a kick out of seeing a team that says, we had never heard about Lego Mindstorms before, we never heard about MoonBots, we're new to this, but we want to be part of it.
Cool. Guido Bibra, first of all, is very sad. There doesn't seem to be a lot of teams in Germany where he is. So, Guido, go out and inspire kids. That's our task to you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I actually have, as one of the pictures I sent you, I shared with you, Nicole, as one I call Map of the Teams. It's a Google map that we have on the website. And I think if we look at that, we can kind of see where the spread is.
I don't have that, but I can.
I think it looks like a screenshot of the website.
Yeah, I don't see that, but I can
okay.
share the website. So.
Okay, that might help. If you look at the tab called, yeah, well, here you go, right there. You can see it's the world times 1.5. But the actual picture shows you where there are some blank spots out there in the world. You can't see if Germany is covered there, but we know that there are places in Europe who are not covered. We have a couple of teams from Egypt, which is really, really great. We had a nice constellation of teams from South America, Chile, Peru, and Peru is not there this year, but we had some interesting teams from Brazil too. We had representatives from Tasmania and Australia. And we are working really, really hard to expand on this and to make this as global as possible. We could say with truthfully that we were on all continents except for Antarctica this year. We have had teams from Greenland too. As you can see, there's a team from Alaska. It's something that everyone can participate in, and we are working really, really hard to expand it. And next year, we hope to do more of that even. So hopefully, our friend from Germany can help us spread the word.
I wonder is there any correlation between MoonBots participants and countries that have Lunar X Prize teams?
Interesting
I don't
question.
know if you know that. It was just a curious thought.
Yeah. Yes, there is. we have seen teams sprout in, for instance, India, where there's a Team Indus from India. There is South American teams that has had like an offset in the MoonBots team where the kids either knew about the local team. The correlation was there between the last year's winners, Grand Prix winners, Team Hungarobots from Hungary. They were closely connected to Team Puli, which is the local Hungarian team for the X Prize. So yes, for sure. But in general, I would say that many teams have, like, we have, as you can see from the map, there is like prevalence or dominance in North America, and especially in the US, primarily because there's also a majority of First Lego League and First Tech Challenge teams, and also because we are partnering with First. They are spreading the word because they see this as a very interesting off-season activity for the teams.
So in case, for those who don't know, First Robotics is another type of robotics competition. I'm not as familiar with that one, but I've seen some of the teams that work at a maker fair we were at a few months ago, and they're like these robots throwing these gigantic balls around. I don't know if that's a typical First competition, but that's another type of robotics competition that's pretty popular.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It was terrifying and awesome to see because they were pretty big.
Robots are awesome. Robots are awesome. Yeah. So yeah.
Guido also wants to know, has LEGO ever considered making models of the prize winners into official sets? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the sets and how the Mindstorm sets and how they work.
So that is a good question, but no. We've left it open for teams to share whatever designs and concepts they wanted to share. It's not been like from when I represented LEGO. It's not been LEGO's business to try and, let's say, capitalize on that. So the LEGO Mindstorms kit is a all-in-one box kit where you get a microcontroller, you get sensors, you get motors for inputs and outputs. You get a lot of Lego Technic bricks, so you can, and wheels and gears, so you can actually build a robot. You get the software comes for free, so you can program your robot and do whatever you want. And it's been around for 16 years now, so I should know. I've been there, I've been as long. So it's been very successful in letting kids of all ages create whatever kind of robots they want, and there's been amazing robots made. Lego Mindstorms robots have been in space, in the space station, and the stuff. So like no limits to what you can do, but to Guido's question, it's not something that's been like an urge to do that.
Okay.
Tell us a little about the programming that's involved with the Mindstorms, because I've played around a little bit, and I'm not a programmer at all, so it was fairly easy to start doing programming the way it's laid out in the Mindstorms kits. Maybe you can explain that a little.
Yeah. So the software or the programming environment you get is a drag and drop graphical programming with what's called graphical blocks. So as you probably know, Georgia, or your experience with it is that you have different blocks that represent commands. You have variables. You can add your own math. You can make your robot do math and do measurements, of course, with the sensors. But also there are sensors built in, like in the motors. So if you want to measure distance, you can do it by rotations, degrees, and other variables and parameters. So it is targeted at 10-year-olds, so you and I should be able to figure it out. There's also a lot of help, and there are tons of resources out there. I've been working with users of all ages when I worked at LEGO, and it was very inspirational because in the community around LEGO Mindstorms, there's a lot of self-governance where adults are teaching children and vice versa, where they are working with the graphical programming environment from Lego, but sometimes they expand to go somewhere else like text-based programming because it's the next step for them or the next natural evolution to move on to learn something a little more complex.
Yeah, it's a great first step. It's a great introduction.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I just wanted to, we talked about this, but I wanted to go back to it, is the fact that they're not just remote controlled rovers, right? It's when you think of remote, you know, oh, it's a rover, I can control it with my remote. You have to program it to be able to figure out what it's doing on its own, and I think that's a really key distinction between these Mindstorm kits and what you're asking in the MoonBots challenge versus like a remote control race car or helicopter. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that presents a challenge for the teams? Is hands off, it has to figure it out on its own.
Absolutely. I think I would go back to the basic that somebody taught me in 98, 99 when I started Lego working on Lego Mindstorms, where the philosophy was that if you wanted to like do a really basic teaching for a child about how to do programming, was try to be the robot yourself. Take pen and paper or pencil and paper, write down what it is you want to do. If you want to move from A to B, figure that out first. If you've got a motor with a set of wheels, figure out that you get both sets of wheels to go in the right direction. So there is this very simple logical process that you can go through by teaching the very basics, and you'll see that if you're ever trying like Mindstorms and many other DIY robotics toolkits like Lego Mindstorms, that the simplest things you learn first is like make your robot make a sound, right? And then you put in a programming block that says make a beep, and when you press a button, make a beep, and you have a natural progression in learning the steps, and you know at the end you can do some really complex programming. And because you can do that, because you can plan out how you want to go from A to C and come back to A, the whole idea is that we have to give them the challenge of it has to be autonomous, that robot has to actually run by its own, because we know that you can make it do that. Because otherwise remote controlling, I would say, would kind of make it easy. Maybe I'm like a little biased when it comes to that. Yes, I love the autonomy of robots. I love that robots can do things by themselves because I or somebody else has put like programming and the logic into it.
So you're teaching.
So I hope that
algorithms. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Was there a question or?
No, I was just mentioning that you're teaching algorithms more so than programming. I mean, or you're teaching that in addition to programming.
Absolutely. I have to say to make a connection to what we've seen from the teams participating in MoonBots, that some teams have gone beyond just the basics. We've seen teams that, as part of their exercise and outreach, created a website that had a control function, so you can remote control their robot from wherever you were in the world. I love that concept. I love that people are doing that. There are those who are breaking the mold, saying, well, there's this very simple software programming environment coming from Lego, but we want something more hardcore, like text-based programming. So yes, there is. We do see that we are aspiring to help the students out there learn more about programming, because it should not be scary. We should all have like a basic understanding of it for sure.
Yeah, that's something that's being pushed for a lot harder these days, is a basic understanding of coding and programming and algorithms in everybody, because we're all using these devices in front of us, and that's what's at the heart of it.
Yep.
So it's good for jobs, but it's also good for just understanding technology. I wonder,
Absolutely.
our team here at CosmoQuest is a large percentage women. So we would ask the question if you see a lot of girls participating in these projects as well, and what kind of impact that might be
Yeah,
having.
I'm happy to say I think if you pull up one of the pictures, I had two pictures called girls.
Girls team.
Yeah, um, and it's just to take my ugly mug off the screen. But this is Team Artemis Rising from Michigan.
I love that
Um,
name.
and yeah, absolutely, it's great. They were part of the 25 top teams in the finals here. Right under that picture, we have the girls Robot Squad United from Tasmania, not Australia, Tasmania.
Nice.
And we again love to see all girls teams because we know there is this understanding that it's not for girls. There is a bias. But what we've seen that the composition of girls versus boys or males versus females in MoonBots is that this year we achieved in total 36% of the teams were girls, or not all girls, but composition was there was like the 74% boys and 30% girls. In the finals, there was a different composition because actually 70% of the team members were actually girls in the finalist teams, which was great. So we're definitely working really, really hard to encourage that even more, and do want to leverage the knowledge we've gained over the years because we've seen a progression that more girl teams and all girls teams have been involved. You can draw the parallel again to the first robotics competition because they also do the same thing, that they want to encourage more girls to participate. So for sure, I know it is there's a big drive to make more girls join up as scientists, engineers, coders, and programmers. So we are in the same wagon right there.
And I wanted to show I want to know what's going on in this picture here with the picture of the moon and the. Hang on a sec. I would like to know what's going on here in this picture. You've got a picture
Right.
of the
Okay.
moon.
So yeah. Well, the best way of showing what the competition is all about is by showing what a team has done because there's a couple of components here that of course came from, this is one of the finalist teams, the Wolves, also from the US, that we gave them the building blocks, the Lego elements to build whatever they wanted to build, but we also gave them building instructions based on the designs that we gave them in 2012. We said, here are some designs. You can build some of these mission items. Some of the mission items are obligatory, like the landing base that you see in the top right corner. The crater in the middle of the picture was something that also was per our design, but the teams again were free to build whatever they wanted to. But here a team has taken the opportunity to build I can see other mission items that were not designed by us in any way. And because the challenge was you have to design your own mission and own gameplay. You have to decide what you want your robot to do, with only a few basic criteria like get off the landing base to start with. And of course the big mat is something that we printed and sent out to them, emulating the moon. So that is like one of the many designs that the finalist teams came up with. I think if we go to the picture right under that, the competition 2, I really like this story because this is Team MegaBots Votu from Brazil. They're showing off their game design, but we have a couple of other pictures because I really like one of this. It's one of many stories, but this story in particular really got to us. We posted about it on Facebook. If you scroll down, there should be the picture called MegaBots Votu, and here we go. Yeah, which is pretty much the same, but this is actually a different situation. So what MegaBots Votu did, after they had performed in the MoonBots competition was they donated everything they had received, the playmat, the robot, everything, all the bricks, to a home that is looking after socially vulnerable children in the area. Plus, 3 of the team members dedicated time to go there to this house to teach the kids programming and all about robots. And I find that amazing that they have that they're doing this for others. We see a lot of that. There's just one example, but it really gets me that they're so gracious. It's one of those. I wanted to draw out this example because it's great that we see this kind of outreach.
That's so cool. They're paying it forward already. It's amazing.
Sure.
Absolutely, yeah. That's exactly it, and that's what they're doing. And we're deeply appreciating those kind of things. It's not part of the mission. It's going beyond the Call of Duty.
Right. That's wonderful. Wow.
So what do you guys have lined up for 2015? What do potential teams have to look? What should they be looking for next year's competition?
Well, they should look out for news on our Facebook profile on moonbots.org. I cannot say what we're going to do next year.
Sure.
Other than we just talked about it a few days ago. It's going to be very exciting. We have a lot of grand plans and great ideas, and we are hoping to have an even better or bigger field, not better, but bigger field of teams signing up for sure. So yeah, these were the old dates from last year's or this year's competition, so they don't really count. It's not up on the website yet.
Close, maybe? Like
what's that?
It's probably close though. They should start looking at the beginning of the year.
Okay, so actually this is a teaser. Right now in this conversation is actually the first time and I'm speaking about what we're doing, or not what we're doing, but that we're doing something next year.
Sure.
So it's definitely something to look out for everyone who is engaged and interested. We will be posting very soon. We usually launch the MoonBots competition in springtime.
Okay.
So we will soon be starting to talk about it for sure within the next few months.
So subscribe to the Facebook for sure. Subscribe or like
Absolutely.
the Facebook page.
We will be on Google+, Twitter, Facebook, and our website moonbots.org.
And do you have any advice for new teams who will be thinking about their submissions? Any advice for them?
I would encourage them to read about the Google Lunar X Prize to start with, because that's where it all originated from. And going backwards, I would encourage them to look at what other teams have done with many videos we see on YouTube. Some of the designs that they're presenting, possibly contacting teams, checking their websites and Facebook profiles, because many of them do have that. In general, start learning about lunar exploration, because there's a lot of activities happening around it right now. And I would say don't be scared about learning about new things, because we're definitely trying to encourage them to just jump into it with an open mind and be excited about it, because we are focused on letting all these young people be as creative and imaginary as they can possibly be.
So for adults like me who are too old, unfortunately, to enter the MoonBots X Prize, or sorry, the MoonBots competition, do you have advice for adults who might want to mentor a team or help a group near them?
Absolutely. See, I worked with a lot of children and adults and adult users of Lego and Lego Mindstorms over many years. but I haven't had any experience in mentoring a robotics team ever as such. I've only been in dialogue with them, but I would encourage you as an adult to take a backseat position and try to inspire the young ones to do their own research, to make new mistakes, to go through a trial and error process of trying to learn. And we've seen a lot of that in MoonBots, which is great. They're showing us the science and said all these things failed, and we found a solution. I would ask you to encourage them to not give up, and definitely also get very excited about it for sure, because it is indeed exciting to think to actually emulate putting a robot on the moon. So yeah. And I hope, without saying too much, that what we want to do next year will make it so much easier for everybody.
Excellent.
And more fun, more exciting. So.
Yeah, you got to be hands off. I just the class I'm teaching just wrapped up their design projects, and I'm helping them out, and I'm like, I can't touch. I have to let them break it and do things, and it's hard sometimes. I gotta go build my own to satisfy that.
There you go. But that's really great advice, though. Really good things to think about. Yeah.
Can I ask you one more personal question? How awesome is it to work for Lego?
I had a dream job for 10 years. My first few days at Lego was being in paradise. Everybody would go through that, because I started in the design department, and there are more Lego than you could possibly imagine. Lego bricks and models that never sees the daylight because of personal projects for some of the designers. It is an awesome place, and a lot of fun for sure. And I would say I had the ultimate job because I worked with the robotics part, which was the cool new thing back then when I started. It's still very cool, but I also have enjoyed that I've gotten to work with another passion, which is space exploration, and been trying some cool stuff as part of that. So I'm happy about it for sure. Awesome.
Sorry, I had to ask that because that just seems.
Sure.
We all love Lego.
My usual answer is that if we're getting paid in Lego, yeah, we're getting paid as much as you can eat. So yeah, for sure.
So I just wanted to show the logo that you sent over with the website. So moonbots.org is the place to get all your information. Make sure you check them out on social media so you can get all the updates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like your little robot guy. That's very cute. It's very Wall-E-esque.
I know, searching for something on the moon. Yes.
Okay, awesome. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you everybody for sticking with us despite all the technology, beam technology.
I know, but we don't give up either. It's all about persistence. Keep going.
Right.
For the most part.
Yeah.
So, as you guys may have seen in the comment thread, Learning Space is going to be changing and a little bit for 2015. One of the changes we're going to start with next week is I will not be broadcasting from my channel anymore. There's actually a Learning Space YouTube channel and Google Plus page. And so, starting next week, I'll be using that. I did create events on the CosmoQuest page for the last few for this year, since that's where everyone's used to going. But we're going to be switching over to the Learning Space page and channel for good for 2015. We've got lots of stuff coming up for next year, which I will talk about on our Christmas Eve episode, where I will probably be wearing a Santa hat being silly. But next week, we'll have a real episode. We'll have Sarah Mitchell talking to us about family science at NASA. And then you've got the weekly Space Hangout on Friday at noon Pacific, where Fraser Kane and crew will be wrapping up the space news for the week. I'm going to try and make it if my grading is done by then. And then Monday, Fraser and Pamela are continuing their Modern Women of Astronomy series. And then Tuesday, Pamela is hosting a Google Lunar X Prize Hangout with, I think, Team Italia. So check that out on Tuesday. We've It'll be in the newsletter that goes out tonight if you're subscribed to the CosmoQuest newsletter. And I think that's pretty much it. Do you guys have anything last minute to announce or inspirational anything?
Oh, not from me.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for joining us.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next week.
All right.
All right then.
Bye.
People out there haven't tried that before, and also to get into the whole understanding of what it takes to go to the moon and to explore space.
That's great. So if you have a team that's really new and they're new to robotics, are there any guidelines or resources where they can go to and get started to get into the competition?
Absolutely. Well, we, through our website, moonbots.org, we've been trying to give them resources. We've been giving them inspiration. There are tons of videos made by former teams from past years. As administrator, we would answer emails or calls where people are asking about help. That we have an extensive rule set, but as it is, we have been trying to work on the rules to make it even more open and creative year by year. For the first year, we were like kind of dictating, saying you should make a play field based on the materials that we sent to you. You should make a play field. You have to do this, this, and this with this kind of scoring. This year, we blew it open and said, make your own game design. You figure out what you want to make as a mission, but we have a few things we want you to do, like get a robot to go off a landing platform like it would happen on the moon.
This kids aspect is really cool. How so the Google Lunar X Prize is a multi-year process. How do you kind of emulate that over do you do a different contest every year? How does that work? How does that emulate the main challenge?
Well, so we've been doing it 4 years. We started in 2010 and we had a hiatus in 2013. But the general idea is to emulate what the Google Lunar X Prize is about, trying to have some of the same milestones of making your robot do the same thing, just with toy robots. We've been using Lego Mindstorm's robots so far, so kids have been asked to learn to program it, design, come up with this. But we have made variances in the different years where we've been asking 1 year to focus heavily on showing us the design before they moved on and could actually move from phase to phase. We've got 2 phases. But it's pretty much been the same concept that you're emulating a lunar mission with a robot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what kind of challenges do the students have to do? What do their machine have to do?
Well, as an example, for the first phase, to be like eligible to go into the final phase, we've got phase 1, phase 2. In phase 1, we're asking them to, like from this year, we asked them to create a video and answer the question, which is also the general question for the Google and X Prize: why should we go back to the moon for good? Mm-hmm. And we've given them all the possibilities to be creative and come up with their own ideas of how to do it. They can create animations, they can sing, whatever they want to do. They can express and answer the question in a 3-minute video. And from that, we're judging, who makes the best video and stuff like that. But they're also doing outreach where they're going out in public and talking about it. Some of the teams that we see here are, I wouldn't say professionals, but veteran teams. They've been participating in other robotics competitions before, so many of them know how to do it. They have the experience, but we're also encouraging teams that haven't had any experience with robots or anything like that to get into the whole process of playing around with robots, learning about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, programming robots, because a lot of young people.
Thank you. Yay!
Okay.
Hi everybody. Sorry for the tech delay. I I got my computer back. If you've been watching the last few weeks, I've been like sulking in George's office because I had no computer for a while. But my computer is back and properly freaking out. But we're live. We're going. So welcome to this week's Learning Space. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Remember, if you are watching, if you could share the YouTube link where you're watching right now. Since we did have to switch over from the old YouTube link to the new YouTube link. So if you can share that out, that would be very helpful. So thanks for coming. My name is Nicole Gugliucci. I need to change my lower third. And in the office next door is my colleague Georgia.
Yep. Hi, everybody.
Hi. So we're glad to be here. And we are here with Stephen Canvin from MoonBots. So hi, Stephen.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome. Welcome to our mad show. So
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about MoonBots, this really cool project getting kids involved in engineering design. So give us an overview of the MoonBots project.
Right. So the MoonBots project is an educational outreach program as an offset from the Google Lunar X Prize, created together with the X Prize Foundation, or by the X Prize Foundation, where we're targeting children or students from age 9 to 17 all over the world to form teams and design, conceive, build and program robots to emulate the Google Lunar X Prize. So the name MoonBots, of course, is like a derivative. It's all about moon exploration. And when I say students, it could be you could do it like in classrooms, you could do it out of school, scouts, whomever can actually join and participate.
Very cool.
And the Google Lunar X Prize, for those who don't know, is an international competition for teams to put a privately funded rover on the moon. There's a $30 million prize purse to be won from. So we tried to emulate that, and we have like incentivized. We have a prize for the kids to win, or prizes.
Yeah, so our colleague Pamela Gay hosts the Google Lunar X Prize Hangout, which happens every 2 weeks, so you guys can hear from the adult teams who are working to put robots on the moon. But this